Hello, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Emerge and Empower with your host, yours truly, Dr. Lynn J. And I am so happy that you are here. And I do encourage you at this time to go ahead and share the live, share it in all your groups, and call your girlfriends on and your family members and say, Dr. Lynn J is on Emerge and Empower. As you know, with Emerge and Empower, it's a platform where individuals come on and share stories of their past experiences, which was a life-altering effect upon their lives. Now, trauma, as I continue to say, is experienced in various ways by individuals at different stages of their lives. I have a special guest by the name of Tiffany Harvey that will be sharing her story, and her story stems from that of love. Finding love, okay? Or she thought she found her Prince Charming. And I believe a lot of you will find Tiffany's story relatable on today. Let us welcome Tiffany to the set. Welcome, Tiffany, to Emerge and Empower. And once again, welcome, and you are here. Everybody, let's welcome Tiffany. Yay, welcome to Emerge and Empower.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a blessing to be with you today.
All right. So thank you so much. And once again, every guest that comes on are telling their story. It's not a fictional story, but facts and details of their lives. These are their own experiences. So I want to put that disclaimer on there. This is their story and their own experiences as they went through these past traumatic experiences. So Tiffany, introduce yourself to our audience.
Yes, so I am Tiffany Harvey. I'm originally from Fort Pierce, Florida. I went to Florida A&M University, so I'm a Rattler, if there's any Rattler fans out there. After I graduated, I went to the Navy and came in as a naval officer. I retired next year after 20 years being a naval officer. Yes, so I'm very proud of that. Currently, right now, thank you, I live in Maryland, right outside of Baltimore, Maryland. I'm specialized in contracting. I'm a contracting officer and policy person, but also I have a speaker, writer. I'm I have a single mom to a beautiful little boy named Jeremiah, who's my heart and my life. And right now, God has me on a journey of, not only sharing my testimony, but really serving in a way of helping our community, especially our young people, and teaching them right now really to how to, start their own business, be entrepreneur, and how that connected with what God has called them to do and the gifts that he's blessed them with.
Wow, that's a lot. I find that commendable, and I see that you look very young to have 20 years. But I'm sure that's a journey and experience in itself. Yes. And I'm sure we'll have another time to break down further onto that. So let's get right into the heart of your story. And I would like to start from the beginning as who is Tiffany, so we can have a backstory before we move forward. Tell us, who is Tiffany? What makes you happy? What is your heart?
So I'm honestly, it's just this woman or girl God created with a good heart. I'm a natural giver at my heart. I love people. I love what I do. And I love who God has really created me and who he has really the path he has brought me down. Mm-hmm. I'm truly am that girl next door, if you want to think about it. I could
Right.
make friends with anyone. I could literally work with anyone. I'm really this easy kill person. It takes a lot to get me angry or mad. So, for me, I am that girl that, you want to take home to your mom or your family or your friends because, I was raised right with the right foundation, and you can literally just put me in any circle, and most people do love me.
That means you're a people person.
I am definitely a people person.
Great, great, great. And what I find when you are a people person, the same way you find a lot of people that probably love your energy, but I'm sure you had to come into that. You had to find that yourself. Some people were once introverted as children because of some past
Mhm.
experiences. And in order to move forward, they had to push behind their own personal,
Mhm.
struggles to become a people person, to become an all around person. All right. And I like how you said you're that girl next door, that girl that someone would want to take home to mom and she would find worthy. Say, okay, yes, she's wife material. And some people don't understand what it means when people say you're wife material because it talks about the standards, the discipline, and the upbringing that you have. And
Mhm.
that is what mothers look for. They look
Right.
for that upbringing. Family want to know if they have a sister, would you be an extension to the family, another sister to the family? And sometimes you find that that's not the case. You understand? So I'm glad that you said that. So can you share those early days of your marriage? All right, and how it began and what brought a change, or do you want to start from how you guys met? Okay, whatever place you'd like to start.
Honestly, we met like a lot of people meet today online. We met in 2014, and we talked online for a few months before we actually, met in person.
Okay.
Um, I'm again here in Maryland, and when I met him, would I say he was my type? No.
Okay.
But during that time, I think just like a lot of women, we have family, we have friends who are in our ear who really
Mhm.
start, kind of nitpicking
Right.
our choices. And it gets in our head sometimes. And I will definitely say it got in my head. And so I, at the time, did not realize I was removing things off my list where people thought was a standard, but in reality was a boundary. I just didn't know that at the time.
Right. Hmm.
Um, so that's another lesson I'll get to later of what we sometimes women we
Right.
do. And
Right.
so, even though he really wasn't my type, I was like, I'm going to try. I'm going to not be so judgmental and not, be so superficial or something. I'm
Hmm.
going to really try to get to know this person.
Right.
And he wasn't a bad person at all. So we got to know each other. I was like, okay, maybe, this could work. He's had a career.
Hmm.
He was an entrepreneur. He, had one son. It seemed like he was very active in his son's life. Seemed like he had a close relationship with his sister and his mom, which what we look for.
Right.
So there was really the keyword, no big red flags initially. So as we continued to date from 14, we moved in together. We, lived together before we got engaged. So we dated for about 3 years before he actually proposed to me in 17. No, let me see, it was 16. Later on 16, we got married.
Hmm.
And when did we get married? We got married in 17 because I had my son at 18. So
Oh.
we got right. So, honestly, I thought I had met the man of my dreams, like what every woman thought, like, yay, he has a career, he got no, record, seemed like he comes from a decent family, he's in his son's life. But honestly, shortly after we got married, and I became pregnant with my son.
Hmm.
And keep in mind, we had careers, we had a house, everything should have been like great.
Right.
That's when the changes came. I didn't even make it
So,
out of my first trimester. I didn't even make it out of my first trimester when the changes was like, who is this person? He started coming home later and later, like all times of night. The communication stopped, just regular day-to-day communication. It stopped.
Wow.
Even the intimacy stopped. Everything was like just stopped. And I tried talking to him. I really did try expressing myself to him. It got to the point where he wasn't trying to listen to me. And I realized that, and it broke my heart. So I said, let's go back to counseling.
Right.
Let's go back to counseling. But I soon realized that he was there just as a checkbox.
Wow.
It was just a checkbox. The work was not there. Everything was one-sided. It was like I was working to keep the marriage together, where he checked out. So it had me thinking, were he ever into the marriage at all?
Okay, so let's go back to the fact that you guys met online, because we just said online. You didn't break down whether it was on Facebook, whether it was a dating app. So let's go there. How did you get there? What put you to where you were, if it was a dating app, to get onto this platform? So let's talk about that, because I'm sure a lot of people might say, let me hear a little bit more. How did they really meet outside of just being online? So what was this online experience?
So it was a dating app. I think it was Plenty of Fish back then in 14.
They call Plenty of Fish?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that was I believe was the app. And being military and has traveled so much, it's just really hard to get out and really meet people the old-fashioned way. I would love to meet someone going to a party or a networking event, but sometimes it's just not possible with schedules.
Okay.
So for me, I did go to, dating apps. I've had, success over the last few years. So I never met.
So you weren't new to the dating?
No.
Okay.
I was not new to dating apps at all. And for me, I've always had success. I've never really met a bad, terrible person that scared me off.
Okay.
So that's how we met. And again,
but that's how come it was comfortable for you, because it wasn't the first time.
Correct.
You've used the app before. You've met people. Okay.
Correct.
And so now you said it was about 10 months.
So we met. I think we started having just initial conversation after we met online, was maybe for about 3 months before we met in person.
Okay. Okay.
Correct. Okay. So we
and how was that conversation? You felt comfortable eventually, obviously to the point that you wanted to meet each other. But when you met each other in this 3-month time, what was your expectations at that time?
I don't know if I had expectations. I usually try not to have expectations when I first meet someone. For one, people, you don't use old pictures. People, say what they think you want to hear.
Right. Okay.
So I honestly try to go in just open-minded when I first meet people in person. That's why I have rules of I don't want to do fancy dates. I don't go to 5-star restaurants. It's usually like a happy hour, or we go to a coffee shop. Something really lighthearted. Go even a bar or something. Just something where it's more relaxed atmosphere.
Right. Especially since you're meeting the person for the first time. So you want to get to see if this is a person maybe for a second or third date.
Correct.
It makes
sense.
I
also think about people financially. I don't want anyone spending a lot of money on me the first time, especially if it's not going to work out.
Right. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Because when we look at a lot of these dating shows, they take them on these lavish datings and all of this, only for the person to say, no, he's not.
Right. And for me, again, I'm very, financially savvy. And I honestly feel bad if anybody spent too much money on me the first time, because I'm going to feel obligated to have to go out with you again, because oh my God, like, you just spent all this money, even though I didn't ask you to.
Right.
But that's just my heart of like, I don't want somebody to waste money on
Yeah.
me.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. And so now you guys has met. You had the first date. How did the first date go?
The first date it went okay. It went well, it wasn't terrible or anything, because he got a
Hmm.
second date. So uh, but I did feel that maybe he was kind of holding back, on the
Which
first
people
date.
tend to do. I don't
Correct.
know why people just don't be themselves to begin with. I
Correct.
always say this: be yourself. There's someone who can find you relatable and like you the way you
Yes.
are. That way, because we spend a lot of times pretending, and this is one of the reasons why I said, because later on now you said you guys moved in and you end up being together for 3 years, and in 3 years it seems like there was still pretense because people can pretend for a very very long time. Okay, and they're not being truthful of who they are, because some people think, oh yeah, I know them because I dated them for 2 years or 3 years. I know them because we lived together for 3 years. No, you find certain habits about them, but they haven't really shown you who they truly are. People tend to stay undercover for a very long time
And
until something happened or something triggered them. Okay, and now you see their true identity.
And I'm happy you said that, because that is the number one question I think every man and woman get after you go through something. They're like, well, didn't you see the red flags?
Hmm.
No one can pretend that long. And
Right.
I disagree with people. I was like, that's not true.
Yes. Yes.
People will pretend as long as they need to
Oh
pretend.
yeah.
So when they think they could, win you over, or they
Hmm.
think they have you in the bag. So when
Right.
they reveal themselves, they think you're trapped. They
Yeah.
think you locked in. I
Yes.
said, so people will do it for years. If there's no timeline for when people pretend
No.
at
No.
all.
No, not at all. And so that's the reason why I said that, because a lot of people say, well, they did it that long, then they move in together for 3 years, and then, huh? But these things are real, and even you who are watching, you can be a witness. You've gone through that yourself. We always love to judge on the other side, or that will never be me. These are
Mhm.
happening. It has happened to you, even though you said it'll never be you, or will happen. Because these things do happen. So you guys dated, and then. What make you feel comfortable enough to want to move in with him after that time of dating?
Right. So we dated for over a year before we moved into together. So it wasn't like 2 months, 3 months, or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. He had his
Mm-hmm.
own place. He was renting from. I owned a condo at the time.
Okay.
And at some point after about a year, I ended up getting another job.
Okay.
So living in the Maryland, DC, Virginia area, anybody knows traffic is awful out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
terrible. So if you live in Maryland and you work in Virginia, that could be up to a 2-hour commute.
Wow.
So when I in the midst of getting another job, it was more convenient for me to stay at his house during the week and just come
Okay.
home on the weekends,
Okay.
because
Okay.
it cut off almost 45 minutes off my commute time in the mornings, in the
Gotcha.
afternoons. So it almost kind of like naturally kind of progressed,
Okay.
for us, just living together, because he just lived closer to, public transportation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just commuting to either Virginia or DC was just much easier from his place than my place.
Okay. Okay.
So we once we lived together, again, it was fine, financial, was fine. I knew what his, credit and his financial, scores
Status.
were.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that person. So, I was like, let me look at that report.
So
Let's
you
see.
went in with your eyes wide open.
So, right. Again, for me, I thought I did all the checks.
Right.
And this my story, if anyone who's listening, you can never do all the checks,
No.
because you would never know a true person. You would never know a true person.
No.
You could only do what you can for yourself and be who you are.
Right.
And so I checked the credit score, I
Mm-hmm.
help, dispute certain things, because I'm like, if we're going to be together, be married, we both have to be financially savvy. We
Mm-hmm.
both credit score need to be in a good place. You can't just rely on one person to hold up a household. So that's kind of how I view things in a relationship. I help you, you help me. That's what a partnership and a relationship is about. You know, I'm strong in some areas where you may be weak in, and vice versa.
Right.
So I didn't see, you know, for me, see nothing wrong with that. So we lived together again for a good year before we even, I think, got engaged.
Okay.
So we did not even, you know, again, get engaged until the summertime of my birthday in July. When did we get it? Was it 16, 17? Because we were married in May of 17.
Okay.
We was married in May of 17 because I had my son in May of 18.
Okay.
So I, again, brought around my family, my friends. You know, I don't date in the blind. So people, you know, met him. You know, but hindsight, looking back, I didn't bring him around enough people.
Okay.
You know, multiple times. I was more around his friends.
His people.
Than mine. Not because it wasn't that was convenient. It just a lot of my friends wasn't here in Maryland.
Okay.
You know, I'm not from Maryland. So, and being military, I done moved around.
Right.
So a lot of my closest family and friends, they were not here. So when they did meet him, they met him once or twice when we were visiting or something. So that is definitely a lessons learned. Now that I have in place that, you know, if you're dating anyone, you have to bring around your family and friends.
Definitely. You get
Multiple.
balance when you bring them around. You've seen them around their people and you bring them around yours, because now you create a balance. So you have a better outlook. And also at the same time, your people are going to see certain things that you probably didn't really pay attention to. And they can bring those things to light. It's good to spend a lot of time with that person's side to see how they interact and how they're loving. But then you also have to bring them over to your side to see how they interact with your people as well. Because a lot of times their true self comes out, you know, around those that they don't know. You understand? People know them can, you know, veer away from certain questions because they know them. Oh, I'm not going to ask them this because I know he's going to be a certain way. So they're being more cautious versus your family. They have no idea. They don't know. Oh, don't say that. You know, that's triggering. And so that's how you will see, wait a minute. How come you just reacted this way? Because it was something that was there. So it's necessary. So everyone watching, create the balance. All right. It shouldn't be one-sided, your side of your family or vice versa. Bring a balance on both sides as often as possible. You know, especially when you feel you want to get married to this person and it's just no longer just dating. You want to get serious, then you want to create that balance. You know, have those outings, have those hangouts, watch for the reactions, do all of these things because it tells you a lot and it will help you decide truly then, because you're going to say, I got to check this area because now you have some homework to do.
Yes. And their personality will change. It will switch it up depending on where they are. Now, if they are authentic, it will not. It will not change. But if they are pretending, there will be little signs that you're going to see, because looking back, there were little, again, bits and pieces. But I have to tell anybody, when you're dating and you're genuine, you're not looking for the negative. Sometimes you're looking at it, especially when you're a Christian, you're looking to give people grace, just as God showed you grace. And you realize people are not perfect because you're not perfect. So when you're going with that lens, you're going to not always see the obvious signs because it might be small and you're not trying to keep track. You're not trying to keep record because that's not what you're supposed to do in a relationship. So that was me. And that was a kind of a lesson I had to learn. Like, okay, no, I wasn't keeping track, but was there little signs that maybe I missed
Right.
Yes, they were signs that I missed.
We tend to ignore things, as well.
Mhm.
And even though you said we're not to keep tabs, but we have to have a record, especially when we want to have a lifetime commitment with someone. That is the time to check, 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 check. And I
Mhm.
realized in the beginning you said you had watered down your list as what you wanted someone of him not being your type. Now, when you say of him not being your type, let's break down
Mhm.
what that is. Are we talking about size, complexion, or are we talking about what he should bring as far as character? Because a lot of people type is more focused on looks,
Mhm.
okay, or what they have and not character. It is very rare that we put the character in there, all right? It
Correct. No,
starts
you
with the stature, what
correct.
he looks like, and then does he have a job? Does he have a car? Okay, but there should be more to it, all right? So what was that and how
So
did you break
for
that?
yes, so for me, it was more of a physical looks wise. He did not look like the typical gentleman or guy I have dated in the past,
Okay,
at all. Because I would not date anybody if you did not have a career, not a
right,
job, a career.
right.
That was not getting removed from my list at all.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a career. He had
Okay,
that. He had, he was renting a place. Even though was he owning? No, but did he live by himself? Was he
right,
paying his own bills?
right,
Yes. He had one child, not multiple kids with
right.
multiple women,
Mm-hmm.
which was okay.
Mm-hmm.
He was taking care of that child to the best of my knowledge
To
at
your
that time.
knowledge.
He was taking care of that child.
Mm-hmm.
So there were certain things that he met. Physical, no, did not, But again, that's where I was like, okay, I put that aside. But now, was there other things that I did not do? Some things that I did not do that I should have done that was on
Uh-huh.
my list
Yeah.
was one, met his son's mother well in advance. For me, meeting her son.
Right.
Two, I did, one thing, I never like meeting people, kids, and I've always,
Right.
expressed that to any man
Mm-hmm.
until I'm ready. That was
Right.
a big sign where I should have turned around because he introduced me to his son when I was not ready at all. Um, you know, there was another sign of where when it came to financially,
Mm-hmm.
there were some things I saw that he was very weak in when it came financially.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something on my list. Like, if you don't know how to manage your finances,
Right.
then I'm
Because
going to
you
want
just said you came in there to come help him get to the level that you would like he should have started from.
correct. I
Okay.
need
And
correct.
women, we do that too
Yes, we do.
much. We're always going in, fixing and building this person to a certain point, and listen, and this is done. You guys weren't even married when you was doing this. You
Correct.
understand me? And so you've invested, and I call it sweat equity. You put a lot of sweat equity in him. And now tomorrow for him to be that person, that perfect person for somebody else. Okay, ladies. So I say this
We do
all the
it
time.
all the
You
time.
put
We
in
do
all
it.
the work. I'm
Yes.
not putting all that work until you are mine because listen, I'm not going to bill you for you to go and be that person because now he's a perfect cat for somebody. His finances and all these things that you have done. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? That you have done. And those were the things. There are certain things we should not uncheck off our list
We
and
should
we
not.
should
And that's why I
stick
said those
to.
were, I didn't realize then those were boundaries where I just
Yeah.
thought was standards. And that's where we as women and
Yeah.
anyone needs to understand. Look at your list and know what's a standard, i.e.,
Yes.
physical. That's a standard. Height,
Right.
standard.
Right.
Those are standard, but boundaries, those are things that can kill you if you
That's it.
remove them.
Yes.
Financial stuff can kill
Oh,
you
it
if you get
destroys
with the
every
wrong.
day.
Correct. So for me, I remove certain standards and
Mm-hmm.
I compromise certain things to be in this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I know people don't like to use the word compromise. I chose him, even though I saw what I saw. I still
Exactly.
chose him.
Yeah.
And I chose certain things that I knew with my eyes wide open. I blamed no one but myself because
Right.
I'm an adult and I had to learn from a lot of mistakes that I made
Right.
in that marriage
Hmm.
based off my choice. We all
Right.
have a choice. And that's what we all need to understand. I made a choice to be with that man.
Right.
And my choices, unfortunately, now I'm still dealing with and paying for today.
Oh, listen, we deal with choices for a long time, and this and the when we compromise, we deal with the situation, and after this person is gone, you're still trying to rebuild from that. So that's why when you talked about your type, I wanted for us to
Mm-hmm.
break down for people to understand there are certain things that you need to make sure are stable. All right, that they're already there in your life, and these things that you list as boundaries, they need to be set and they need to be strong. There's a lot of reasons why some women say, I don't want to, if I don't have a child, I don't want to be with a guy that
Mm-hmm.
does, because not only are you dealing with a child, you're dealing with the baby mama, you're dealing with some dramas. And I would want to know those things up front, meet her to see what type of woman she is. She'll give me an idea of, because a woman who's truthful will say, girl, I don't know. You understand me? Those who are truthful and not being spiteful, and they'll let you see some of these things that
Mm-hmm.
didn't work for them. You understand?
Correct. And I've learned now, if you're with a man or a woman, they say, no, you cannot meet that child's mother or father,
Yes.
run to the
That's a
hill.
fly.
Run.
Yes. Yes.
Run to the hills. Like,
Hmm.
honestly, I did meet, his son mother before we got married. Did we have
Hmm.
a truly one-on-one
Okay.
sit down? But we didn't do that till after I got married,
Mm.
but there was some things on both of their parts,
Right.
where I had to kind of like, who's telling what
Right.
truth? Because maturity wise, I was above,
Mm.
so maturity wise, I was above looking back. So I had to, couldn't take everything as 100% from either one of them,
Right.
you
Right. Right.
know.
Right.
So that was something else where now looking back, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I always say that, I don't know about you, but one of mine for you, as far as being the one, you have to be mature. I don't want to be your mama. You understand me? You have to
Correct.
have that maturity, and that's probably one of the reasons why I've always been attracted to much older men who've been there, done that, and have their stuff
Mm-hmm.
together. But that's not always the case. Older does not mean more mature. So maturity comes with life
Experiences.
experiences. So you
Yes.
have to see if that person is mature or they act
Mm-hmm.
immature. What is their reaction to certain
Correct.
situations and scenarios? That
Mm-hmm.
is where you would see this person's maturity, and it is not in age. And I'm speaking because I'm speaking from experience. It is
Yes.
not from age, because you could be younger and still more mature,
Correct.
and understandings of life. So here, what was going through your mind now? Because now you guys have already been together for 3 years. Now you guys are married. Now you in the first trimester of pregnancy, and something has been uncovered.
I honestly, in my mind, I thought it was what's going on. Like, is it me? Like, I think I did what the normal person would do. We're doing
Hmm.
that cause, effect, rationale. Like, okay, what just happened? Beforehand, I would have got a phone call. I would have got a text message if I'm going to be late. I would have
Hmm.
got a notification. I would have got some kind of communication.
Right.
Someone, he would have considered my feelings. Now it's like I was a nobody. Like, I literally was married. I got married to be a roommate and a side chick. That tell me
Hmm.
that. So you truly understand what my mental state was and how I was feeling.
Yeah.
I really said I do, and I went to a roommate status and a side chick status where I should have went to a wife status. I never got I had the title, but I never got treated as a wife. As a wife, because he was not mature enough to even be anyone's husband. Because what I learned was he was a narcissist. And I did not know that.
They can hide that until...
Ooh, can they? But here's the thing. I learned it wasn't just him. It was a family affair. So I had not one person I'm dealing with. I got 2, 3 other people. Yes. It was literally like this spoiled apple from a tree that they all are rotten that I just married into.
Right.
I didn't marry into a family that was sound foundationally, they thought reasonable or made, reasonable, choices.
Right.
That wasn't it. And oh my goodness, I went to France and my friends was like, no, it's just your hormones. It's just your hormones. Wow. You're pregnant. You're overthinking stuff. I wasn't. But I thank God that I heard them, but I didn't hear them.
Right.
I heard them, but I didn't hear them because I knew what my heart was saying. I knew what my gut was saying. Like, this isn't right. This person that I married and who he is not the person who I was getting to know all these years.
Right.
This is not anybody I would have ever dated if they would have shown me this side of him.
Yeah.
So luckily for me, I paid attention. I did not make excuses. I did not make excuses for behavior. I did not make excuses for his actions.
Yeah.
So I thank God for the wisdom and the discernment.
Yes, that's the key word right there.
Correct. The wisdom and discernment that I was following and listening to, and God and the Holy Spirit was speaking to me to pay attention, because all it did was get worse.
Right.
So yeah.
So you're going through this experience because, yes, when we are pregnant, everything is heightened. Sound, hearing, sight, smell, everything is heightened. You're more aware of your surroundings. So it only takes you, if you're an emotional person, it just takes you to even more so. Right. And so now your discernment is now sharper. Okay. Correct. And so during this time of silence and you acknowledging this silence and noticing this change, when did you realize that you were not the wife?
I probably realized I was not the wife after I had my son. So during my pregnancy, he never came to one doctor's appointment at all. So I basically went through the pregnancy by myself. Even in the hospital, I hadn't have an emergency C-section.
He wasn't there?
He was there. He was there. He was there. Keyword, he was there. Present there.
Help us, Lord. Help us.
Correct. He was there, like so many of people who are in relationship. Right. You are with the body, but you're not with them in their heart, in their mind, in their soul. But that's after I had my son is when everything kind of just came full circle for me, where I started to really realize and see things. Like, he moved out of the master bathroom. Don't know when. He want to share a bathroom with me. I'm like, well, when this happened?
So is it because of the pregnancy that he made all these changes, or did he want this child for one?
My son was planned. We got married in May. I conceived my son in August, found out in September.
Okay.
So
I just want to make sure, because if he's having all these changes, then the first reaction would be maybe he didn't want this pregnancy.
So let me break down. I know somebody watching like, well, what was?
That's what I'm saying.
It was about the money. It was the lifestyle that I lived, that I was blessed. God blessed me with. Okay. And my financial choices that I made throughout my time, in the military and everything, where I had built this lifestyle around me. I traveled. I, lived in a good neighborhood.
Right.
I didn't drive the best car, but it was nice. I kept it up, kept
Right.
maintenance. It was the lifestyle that
I see.
he wanted. And the one thing I learned later on about narcissistic people,
Mm-hmm.
they want what you have without working for
Right.
it.
Control and manipulation.
Correct. They think they're entitled to it.
Yeah.
So he wanted that lifestyle, and he was going to do what he can to get that lifestyle, i.e., without working for it.
Yes. I
I.e.,
see.
if I marry her, I get her pregnant. She
Mm-hmm.
won't go anywhere. That's what
Yeah.
he thought.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That's what he thought.
You're preaching to the
But
choir right now.
correct. That's where the devil always overplays their hand.
Yes. Yes.
Correct. He was from up north, New York. I'm from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
My family's from Alabama, Carolina. So I'm a country Southern girl.
Mm-hmm.
So he thought he could outsmart me.
I see.
And I was like, and so after I had my son, and I really was doing everything myself. I was a
Mm-hmm.
single mother. I was married, but I was a single mother.
Oh,
When I
listen, ladies,
say
I know a lot of you all are out here. You are married but single.
you're
Some
married
people
but
might
single,
ask, how can somebody be married and single? How can somebody be married and lonely? How can? Well, yes, it does
you can.
exist.
Correct. You can. I mean, especially when you're in the marriage and you're doing everything. Like
Everything.
literally, I did everything. I
Mm-hmm.
had a new son. I had a C-section. My hips separated after my
Wow.
birth. Having a C-section, I had to go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I had no support. I was still trying to cook. I was still trying to clean. I was still trying to go to the grocery store. I'm taking,
Mm-hmm.
I had to do everything. I had no support. But even when I said something,
Mm-hmm.
this is where I noticed. This is when I knew
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when you start to say something and their reaction is negative, their
Yeah.
reaction is bitter, is harsh, i.e.,
Mm-hmm.
what are you talking about? That's when I knew. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
we got a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a problem. Because every time I said it, no matter how calm I said it, no matter
Right.
how gentle I said it always came across negative to him. It
Right.
always try to start a argument. It's like he wanted a reaction, a negative reaction out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I had to learn. Like, oh, it doesn't matter what I say.
Right. Right.
You're going to do what you want to do. You
Yeah.
don't care about my feelings. You have no empathy. You have no sympathy. I have a brand new baby and you're staying out there all day and night. Don't even ask if I'm hungry. Won't even call to check up on us.
Right.
I was like, oh, but you would love to bring people around to this house that is not yours. You love to show people off for, this is my family. This is my house. This is,
Right.
I'm
Something that
upgraded.
he didn't build or put any input in.
Correct.
Wow.
That was my house. We picked it out together, but that was my house in my name only.
So he was in love with your lifestyle, the things that you had, but not you.
Correct.
So getting married to you mean, you know what, this will be mine. You understand? And so therefore, this is what I'm doing. I'm not in love with her, but I love her house. I love her lifestyle. I love what she have. And this is something that women also have to realize. Once you that song that talks about independent, that's why I love her. You have to be an independent man too. You understand? For it to work, you're looking for an independent woman so you could
Correct.
just have what she have, but you didn't bring anything to the table, and then you're gonna disrespect her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna minimize her, make her feel small so she can feel trapped. Play with her mind so she's living this illusion that you created, all right, and she won't be any wiser. Okay, so your eyes is now open, the silence has come because the control that he thought he had was no longer there. And this is when you see that shift. This is when you see that change because they're losing. prying your fingers off of those layers of that control and manipulation. And believe it or not, this happens from the beginning with someone who's narcissist. They have control from the beginning. Every move that they make is already calculated. You are just a pawn.
Come on. Yes, you are. Till the next piece come in.
That's
Until
it.
they tired of you and they done got what they think
That's
they
it.
want from you. And that's all it was. See, mine was all about the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it was. So throughout the marriage, that's when the late nights, it got later and later.
Mm-hmm.
Like it went from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Come like, what's the problem? I came
You have
home.
to accept that.
Right. It came to having parties and deleting footage on the house, on the camera. Like, what's the problem? And it was always, well, what's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
It was never responsibility of his actions. So I was like, okay. My grandmother taught me, when you know the game, when you actually understand the game, you're not playing, because life is a game.
Oh, yes.
Once you understand the game,
yes,
your job is to master that game
it
and beat them at their own game.
Master it.
Because you didn't ask to be in that game.
That's it.
So once I realized, I said, this man trying to make me think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Now, narcissistic people, that's the number. They're going to make
number one.
They're going to make you think you're crazy, and you're going to question everything.
Everything you do.
So
listen.
I started recording every conversation, and I go back and replay.
Right.
Am I crazy? Because no, I ain't crazy. I said, I am a well-educated person. I think with logic, common sense before I make any move. Why is this man trying to make me think I'm crazy?
Right.
So once I realized, like, oh, he's trying to use reverse psychology.
Oh, yes.
He's trying to use manipulation to bring me down, because now he started to try to tear me down. Why do you smile like that? Why do you dress like that?
Come on.
Why do you look like that?
Typical.
And see, that's where he messed up. That was listen, anybody tell me, Tiffany, what was the camera that broke the camera? He started criticizing me when I know I look good.
That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing. And a lot of women allow this to happen, and they become a shadow of themselves. The way they dress, the way they look, who told you that look good on you? All of this to play with your mind, knowing very well that you look good, but they got to break you down. Who told you look good?
See, that's where he messed up. See, he shouldn't have never went down that road, because as soon as he went down that road, that's when my whole left eyes, right eye started like, hold on, bro. Hold on. Listen, I know I may not be highly hygienic, but I know who God designed me to be.
Yes.
And I know with my mama jeans and my daddy jeans, he made a beautiful woman. So no, you don't lost your mind, bro. You weren't even my type. And now you're trying to criticize me. Do you not know the men that I had on my arm?
Wow.
Or I done been on their arm? That's really, I knew, like, that's really what, that was like the light bulb that went off. And then it went from the words to now you showing it in person how much the disrespect.
Yeah.
See, they up levels.
Yes.
To hurt you. So when the first level don't work, i.e. probably words or whatever they're doing at a smaller level, and they don't get that reaction out of you, they're going to up it. And that's what he did. He tried to embarrass me in public at a party. And I know what he wanted. He wanted me to go off. I was like, oh, no. See, you miscalculated the foundation I come from.
That's it.
That's not what I do. I don't embarrass myself in front of nobody in public, especially for a man. I don't care if we're married or not. At the end of the day, you're just a man, and I could get another man if I want to.
Right.
And so he miscalculated his hand.
Does a narcissist person think they're the best thing that ever happened to you? You can't get no one. I made you who you are, forgetting you came in when I had everything.
And not realizing you didn't make me. I had everything.
Right.
You want my lifestyle. And so it got to the point where what do? You force that narcissist to play their card. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I was like, listen, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Like we went almost 4 weeks without talking. 4 weeks. I was like, I'm done. We was in marriage counseling, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not about
by your own suggestion, not his.
Yeah, by mine. I was like, I wrote a letter. I got up at like 3, 4 o'clock one night after we had a big argument. The counselor that was my pastor, and he called him like, she's done. She's ready to leave this marriage. And you would think if he was in the marriage, he would come and have a conversation to try to fix the marriage. No, it was all a blame game. But I was already hip to that. At that point, I was already done because I already saw who he was and what he was trying to do. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna back him in a corner. So I wrote a letter, and basically the letter was, I apologize. Sometimes you got to make a narcissist.
Oh yeah.
I apologize for putting too much on him. My expectation as a husband, I apologize because that was my fault. I expected too much of you. I said, so how about we take some time apart? Let's just take some time apart while we work on this marriage.
Right.
That was on June 6th, 2020.
Right in the middle of COVID.
Right in the middle of COVID. By June 10th, 4 days later, I go into his office. I had to reset the router. The router was in his office, and I looked down because I was looking for a pen or something sharp to stick back there. And I saw his notes where he was buying a house.
Wow.
He done bought a house. He was on his way to see a house. By June, and I confronted him that night. I confronted and asked him. He admitted, yeah, I'm buying a house. I'm trying to get out here as quick as possible. I was like, okay.
Wow. So he was already out the door.
So keep in mind, he was out the door before then, beginning of the year. He was already out the door.
But
so
why then? This is still my thing. Why then did he want you to get pregnant and have this child, knowing full well that he wasn't really into this marriage? Why do that?
Because he knew when he met me, I wanted a child. He knew to keep me was for me to get married and have a child. Correct. That's something I express. Narcissistic people, they hear what you say and hear what's important. And they want to give you that to keep you. See, but he thought I was weak and that I wouldn't leave.
Gotcha.
That's what he thought. He didn't never think I would allow him to leave because I was always the peacemaker.
Right.
Because that's just in my nature.
Oh, and that's it. Once it's in your nature, you do it. But listen, once you're scorned, though, once she's done, she's done.
I'm done. When I say
done, it's done.
I was done. And see, he didn't see that side. He didn't see that side. Even though I tell men, do not take my kindness for a weakness.
That's it.
Do not take that. I'm soft spoken. I may not yell all the time. Don't do that. I said that's the last thing you ever want to do is take my kindness for weakness. And that's what he did. And
so now you see this note of him going to buy the house. You confront him about it. And what's his reaction?
Yeah. Nonchalant. Yeah, I'm buying a house. Oh, okay. I said, okay, well, can you keep me posted? Because again, bills.
Are your accounts linked? Did you have a shared account? Okay.
No, I didn't do that now. I was smart. I knew that. I didn't do that. So, but no, our accounts was not linked, thank goodness. It was only a couple things that he was on my stuff, or was some things we have after we got married, some things within both our names, but it didn't take that long to separate them. So he went by June, I think it was about June 17th.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he finally come to me on a Saturday, say, I think we both know this marriage isn't working.
So
So
you
I want
asked
a
to
divorce.
separate to clear your head, but for him it was bye bye,
It was
complete.
bad. Yeah. I was trying to just separate
Right,
so we could work on the marriage. You just go stay at a friend's house or
right, right,
wherever,
right.
and we work on the marriage. No,
Mm-hmm.
he was done. He bought a house, doing inspection. Now, see, he didn't even tell me he wanted a divorce until he cleared his house. To his
Ah, again, control, calculating.
and but see, he miscalculated my years of military, and by that point, I've already put down recorders and everywhere around and everywhere. So I was listening to everything because my intuition said something more.
Right, right,
I
right.
said, at the end of the day, we've only had really 3 arguments
Mm-hmm.
in this marriage from the time we got married.
Mm-hmm.
What? There's nothing been that bad to where you want to leave
Gotta
a
leave.
marriage. There was nothing. No cheating on my part, no financial
Mm-hmm.
anything. Your credit score. See, keep in mind also his credit score, y'all, he found out in February, it went up
Mm-hmm.
to 800. So now he was really done with me.
Right,
He
right,
didn't
right,
need me.
right, right.
I was, motivating his small business. He getting
Mm-hmm.
customers. I'm encouraging. So he got more money coming in. So at this point, I don't need her.
Right.
I was like, okay, but I started listening.
Mm-hmm.
See, where he thought he was outsmarting me,
Right.
I was outsmarting him because I knew something else was going on. In
Right.
the conversations I heard,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he had a conversation I overheard with him and his mother was having, and
Mm-hmm.
basically said I was never his queen. I
Wow.
was never his queen at all.
Mm-hmm.
I never, this is where I said you need to get to know who you're marrying, their
Oh yes.
family.
Yes.
Because I never had any bad blood with his mom. She
Mm-hmm.
praised me to my family when we was getting married. Oh, we love Tiffany. She's the best thing that ever happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I called her when I found out we was getting divorced.
Right.
Just, hey, your grandson gonna be primary with me. Don't feel like just because we're getting divorced that we cannot still
Right.
have
Right.
a civil conversation. You call me.
Mm-hmm.
And she, asked what happened. And I started to tell her. I didn't think anything of it.
Right.
I didn't know she was call him on 3-way so he could listen in.
Wow. Wow.
She called him on 3-way so he can listen.
Mm-hmm.
And they literally, after I hung up the phone with her, they dissected everything in that conversation. His mother never once corrected him, said, you're wrong as a man.
Mm-hmm.
Not as my son, but as a man.
Mm-hmm.
You're wrong. She defended every action that he made. Regardless, wrong, right, she defended him. And I was like, wow.
Wow.
Now I know where it starts. Your mother. She's the queen narcissist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she's encouraging you.
Right. Right.
So this whole time where I thought I'm married to you, I'm married to her.
Was he a firstborn?
Yes.
Oh Lord.
Yes. He's not the only child, but yes.
Yeah. Firstborn and male. Yeah.
So it was once I started listening and I realized that, and he said I shouldn't have never married her. Should have never married her. So depending on who he was talking to is what story he told.
Right.
Depending on who he talked to and I heard enough versions to know that I'm done. So he stayed in that house the whole time. He never left the house.
Wow.
He booby trapped the house. He never stayed. He was, because why? That control. Nothing he did made me mad.
Right.
I stayed calm throughout the whole process, and it made
him mad.
It angered him.
That's it.
Anger. To this day, this man is angry with me. To this day.
That is crazy. Crazy, crazy. These are all typical. If you know someone who's narcissist or you're not sure of a narcissist, they're always in control of every situation. You might think that you have some type of control, but you don't, because they're always in there controlling and doing different things. And we need to be aware of that. So, listen, we have to continue. We have to bring Tiffany back because I believe in letting people take their time to tell their story. We have to see her reactions, how her life is now. We're going to bring Tiffany back on because she has matured from this. She has become a better person from this. So there is more to this. That's why we call it Emerge and Empower. So she went through this. And for you who are thinking, oh, well, this was different, everyone's experience is different. Some of us feel like it has to be an abusive relationship for the relationship to have been bad. Listen, she told me there was only 3 arguments, but there were problems. All right. And she was always being the one being the mediator, trying to bring peace into a situation where that what happened with the other person is now they're thinking they're having things their way. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say this, you just never know what anyone is going to do. All right, even you in a situation. So don't think you have some control on someone else when you don't even know how your tomorrow is going to be, how you're going to react. I always say this, you don't know how you're going to react in a situation until
Mm-hmm.
you're in that situation. All right, we always want to say, oh, if that was me. Well, that was not you, and that was not you in that situation. You in that situation probably would have been ugly, tearing down stuff, being ratchet. All right. But she chose the upper and more mature route to deal with it. All right. Also, what also brings healing to her as because of the way she processed the situation. So we'll be back with part 2 with Tiffany because we don't want to rush. So Tiffany will not be a stranger here because everyone that comes on Emergent and Power will have opportunities to come back. There are so many parts to our story. We have so many levels of our stories that we can tell on and on. And no, it will not sound or be the same because these are all different experiences and how we react to each and every one of them. So, Tiffany, I do want to thank you for being here on Emerge and Empower. And I do believe that you have emerged stronger. All right. Come back for more. Come back for more and stay tuned. I know we came from Thanksgiving. We're still in the holiday season and we want to think about things of joy. But remember, the holiday season is also a season that triggers us back to things that hurt us, loneliness,
Mm-hmm.
loss, experiences that we shared. The holiday season is a time where we do go down memory lane or we revisit certain things or is a trigger in our lives. All right. So there is not a good or bad time to talk about traumas because we live and experience them every single day of our lives. So, Tiffany, I want to thank you for being here on Emerge and Empower. So, we'll close off with a short prayer, but you go ahead and tell everyone. Maybe a mother or someone that is in that situation right now, give them some hope before we close.
The best hope I could give anyone who's in that situation, or maybe you don't found your way out, you just don't know how to heal and move on. Just know that God, He would never put you in a place or put you in a storm or a situation where He cannot bring you out of.
Amen.
All things that you go through is not to kill you. Some are to put you on that path and purpose that He has designed for you.
Amen. Thank you so much. So let us pray, Father God, for that mother, that father, that individual that is facing a very dark moment right now, probably even presented as we speak with divorce or separation. We want individuals to realize, Father, that you are with us every step of the way and not to be hard on ourselves, not to be hard on yourself, all right? And let go and let God. I know you've invested a lot, but it's going to be much more expensive if you hold on to something that God has asked you to release. So, Father, on today, heal the hearts and minds of your children. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. So, everyone, I want to thank you once again for watching, and we'll be right back Come back for part two of Emerge and Empower. And thank you and goodbye, everyone. Until
Bye.
next time.